Trail of the Fallen Giants, and there's a giant right there. It's about 10 feet across. There's another giant over there that's springboard notched and very large, maybe 15 feet across. So very old, ancient timber. So this is called the Trail of the Fallen Giants. It's in Goldeners Park in Maple Ridge, British Columbia, Canada. And as it says, self-guided 15-minute return tour. And there's signs along the way. And you'll see all the old fallen giants. Now the fallen giants aren't like Jack and the Beanstalk. The fallen giants are cut down, ancient, more than century-old growth, such as this western red cedar here that was cut down probably in 1910 to 1920 when this whole forest around Maple Ridge was clear cut. And at that time there was also a fire around 1920 that burned everything else down and made the forest lumber industry unprofitable, so these would have been cut down between 1910 and 1920. And there's a nice trail here. I would not do it in a wheelchair or a walker or someone disabled or with disabilities, as it's not that well maintained, and actually up ahead it gets even worse. So it's all rocks, things, tripping hazards. And anyway, so here's one of the signs. It says second growth forest. The forest around you has grown following logging throughout the Alouette Valley in the 1920s and a fire in 1929 that eventually ended the logging operations. Now, okay, I've read different years on these things, but that's a secondary interpretation. And so this is all second growth from 1920, and the old growth are like those stumps over here that are more than 10 feet across and probably more than a century old at the time they were cut down. So we will continue on this trail. Try not to trip on the outcroppings of rocks. Fortunately, they've cut the logs that have fallen across. Here's a log, but that's probably maybe new growth or the top of an old growth. Anyway, this goes on for about 15 minutes, and then you end up back at the entry point. Actually, this is better than last time I did it. It's been cleaned a bit, cleared, and looks in better shape. Okay, no more rocks, but it's dirt. Fairly good use of a trail, and there's roots sticking out though, so, or roots if you're from the States. Anyway, the signs are getting a little old. Old roads and rails. So something about the park following logging roads and rail tracks. Look for evidence of logging activities as you walk. Cables, rails, and other artifacts can still be seen. Wow, so we will look for those. And I haven't seen any yet, but there is actually an old cabin pad, but it's made out of concrete, so I don't know when they started pouring concrete foundations, but probably more recent than 1920. So, anyway, these are apparently new growth. That's a pretty good sized tree here, tree trunk. And there's an old growth stump that's almost 10 feet across. Oh, here's a sign over here. Okay, broadleaf maple. Acer microphyllum. These broadleaf maples are the largest variety of maple tree in Canada. They can have a half an acre or more of leaf surface. Squirrels, mice, and various birds eat the seeds, which spin like helicopter rotors as they fall. So, way, way up there are maple leaves. All right, let's move along. There's lots and lots of ferns in here. It's like a fern grotto. Beautiful ferns covering the basement layer here on the ground, as in a carpet, and then moss underneath that. As you can see, the moss, even though it's hasn't had rain for about 3 months, is still in good shape. Okay, burnt logs and stumps. These are the only remnants of the forest that originally grew here. These stumps are slowly decaying, providing nutrients for new plant growth and homes for wildlife. So here's the one that they're talking about. Right here. Maybe 10, 12 feet across, with the roots out further, maybe 15 feet. And so this was probably 1,000 years old when it was cut down, and now is decaying into nutrients for everybody involved. And here's another view from the other side. So that is considered a fallen giant, a namesake for this trail. Okay, watch out for the roots. Lots of roots, or roots. Depends where you come from. Lots of them right here. Yes. Okay, here's a sign. It says, nurse log. This fallen tree is slowly decaying and returning nutrients to the soil. It has become a nursery for new trees and shrubs. So there's the log, there's me, there's the camera, my cell phone actually. And there's huckleberry bushes growing out of that ancient stump. So this is the nurse log. So it's a log laying down, ancient forest log that's growing lots of vegetation. And thankfully someone has cut the log here so we can walk through and continue with our path. Very nice of them. There's another ancient growth. Stump. 1,000 years old maybe. Now this says you can go nature trail, it goes even further. Or you can go back to your car this way. And I want to show you this ancient stump. It's got huckleberries growing out of it. So it's a nurse stump, as they call it. But again, it's, wow. It's at least 10, 12 feet across. Probably 1,000 years old when it was cut down. And that was about at least 100 years ago. And it's still there, acting as a nursery for the other plants. And animals maybe get their nutrients out of it too. And there's another one right there, over there, on the other side of those ferns. Very nice. Here's one here with a daughter growing right out of the stump. See that? Daughter going way up there. And growing out of the stump. The roots coming all the way down here, covered in moss. So it's a daughter, plus a nurse, plus the old growth. So here we are, we're heading back now, so we're halfway through our walk of the fallen giants. And again, this last time I was on here, there was no maintenance. This time, it's fairly well maintained, not like some of the other ones that are almost wheelchair accessible. This one, I would not do it with any disabilities or in a wheelchair, etc. Maybe if somebody's pushing the wheelchair, but there's a lot of roots and stuff sticking out, so you might get stuck. But this part's pretty good. A couple rocks sticking out. Okay, here we come on another interesting spectacle. Okay, here's a giant hemlock stump. Again, maybe 1,000 years old or more. And again, it's over 10 feet, 12 feet across at the base here. And then you got baby hemlocks growing out of it. So see these hemlocks? The mother's nursing these baby hemlocks. Now these are huckleberries. So it's also nursing huckleberries and lots of moss. And then there's animal holes everywhere. Like, I don't know what lives in there, but there's nice, a bear could almost live in there. There's a nice big hole in the center, cavity. And maybe that looks like could be bear sign there. Those scratches on the wood, that takes powerful claws to scratch that wood away like that. Okay, so we will look out for bears. I've got my bear stick here. A walking stick, bear stick. Oh no, this is what I was telling you about. This is a foundation here. It's green concrete or painted green. And this whole concrete slab's pretty big. I think they used to use this for scouting activities. And I guess it would keep the base of the tent dry. Or maybe this was a house. This could have been a house or a shed for the park. 50 years ago, though, when I worked here, this was like this. It was concrete like this. Now this over here used to be an outhouse. And there's another concrete slab, so this could have been the restroom facilities for that park building, if that's what it was. Anyway, again, I did not see any signs that we passed on this trail of a railroad, but that doesn't mean if you go on further you might find something else. Okay, here's another ancient tree stump. I'm sorry I can't. Oh, this does, okay, it's hemlock growing out of it, so this may be hemlock. There's the daughter growing out of the stump. So more than likely this is a hemlock stump, because the daughter would probably be the same species unless some other kind of seeds landed on there and propagated. But if it's a clone off of the original stump, it's probably hemlock. And again, nice caverns for the animals, and really nice moss growing here. It's pretty good shape. Old man moss even. Old man moss. There you go, old man moss growing on there. And habitat for, there's a trapdoor spider there. With the web, oh, did you see him go? There he is. Oh. Okay, trapdoor spider. And oh, there's a nice hole in there. That's interesting. So it's like rounded. It's really almost carved out of there. That's very interesting. I wonder if that's the old treasure pot. Let me have a look. Interesting. Do you see any treasure in there? Wow, that is rounded out like it's like a pot inside the tree. That's amazing. Anyway, this is protected provincial park and forest, and so you do not want to alter things. Okay, we're almost back at the beginning, so this has been almost 20 minutes. So what I will do is I'll cut it off here. You can come and visit it in person and see it for yourself. Amazing place. This is called the Trail of the Fallen Giants, and it's in Golden Ears Park. And nice little hike of 15 minutes. If you don't want to do a long one, this is a good one. Little kids would enjoy this. And who knows, you could see some animals. Like I've seen owls up in the trees, hawks, eagles, lots of squirrels. I haven't seen any today, but anyway, you might see them if you're lucky to come out here. And I guess I'm probably making too much noise and it's scaring them all away. So anyway, if you're quiet, walk through here, you'll probably see owls, eagles, hawks, squirrels, who knows, even bears. Okay, over and out. Enjoy your hike through the land of the fallen giants.